I'm gonna record just in case.
Okay.
And we're going live. So it says, and it says over here that we're preparing to go live, but it seems that we are. So I'm just double checking that everything is working. And it seems like we're all systems go. Yay! So just wanted to greet everybody on Facebook Live. Quería saludar a todos los que están on Facebook Live. Today we're going to have a conversation about health and hope with Pastor Marc Reyes. Vamos a tener una conversación acerca de salud y esperanza también con el Pastor Marc Reyes. Pero vamos a tratar de mantenerla. Normalmente yo hago estos videos bilingües. I usually do it bilingual, but today we're going to try to stick to one language so we can get through our conversation.
English is fine with me, bro.
Yeah, we'll keep it to one. Lo vamos a mantener en un solo idioma, nos vamos a mantener en inglés hoy día para poder pasar por toda la conversación. So if anybody has any questions afterwards, you can definitely reach out. Si alguien tiene una pregunta después, pueden alcanzarse. But it's an honor for me to have this. This is exciting for me. Es muy emocionante to have this conversation today. Not just because I've known Pastor Marc for a long time. I think we know each other even from youth ministries, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
we're still young.
We're still young. Yes. And we feel younger now. I don't know about you, but I feel younger now.
Listen, man, I've gained back a lot of years. I lost.
So Marc is going to be sharing with us a little bit of his journey and also anything that God put in his heart to share with us. The point of this conversation is, there's a lot going on around us, so why not try to share some hope? Even if it's in the topic of health and other topics that might come along as part of a conversation. But yeah, let's not waste any time. I think most of you know Pastor Marc. So if I have my Facebook open, so if you have any questions, you can post them up. I'll definitely share that with him. But we have a specific conversation that we wanted to kind of guide, or specific questions that we wanted to guide the conversation. And I want to start off with asking you if you could share with us a little bit about your health journey, why did you start it, and let's put it this way, why has it worked for you? Because I know you're doing an amazing job, you're doing great. So if you could share a little bit with us about that.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to go through some stuff to really realize how important health is. And it's not that you intentionally ignore it, but sometimes your life becomes so busy. Everything is happening so fast that we kind of lose track of the things we fall into and the habits that we create. And a lot of these things could be bad habits. And we don't know until we start facing some challenges. And it kind of happened to me like that. It's not like I planned to be overweight and find myself at the place that I found myself at. And I began to deal with health issues. But not only that, I realized that my health issues began to affect me mentally and emotionally. So it was taking a toll on me, and it was affecting me in other areas that I had no idea would affect me in. And this literally became like a hidden battle. It became a hidden battle, even in ministry as a pastor. What I was demonstrating on the outside to people was telling a different story than what was really going on in my mind and in my emotions in regards to my health, And so, and also I didn't find, I struggled finding a place where I could reconcile the principles of spiritual health with the principles of physical health, and although my relationship with the Lord was great and moving forward, physically, I wasn't feeling that way, and one of the things about ministry that's interesting that really, became that place of struggle is that, my public mentality was very different than my private mentality. And so, you know, you could be excited on the altar and be excited in front of the crowd and be excited at the event. And you forget that when you go home, you don't go home to none of those folks. You don't go home to the crowd. You don't go home to the people that were there. You won't go home to the people that were praising and clapping and shouting and creating this atmosphere of excitement. You went home to yourself and to your family, you know. But personally, you know, you go home to yourself and to find yourself looking at yourself in the mirror and not seeing the crowd, just looking at you. You know, a lot of questions arose. A lot of questions arose, and it got to the point where I realized that it was a whole lot of decisions that got me to the place I was at, and so it's going to require some decisions to get myself out. So I was actually thinking about getting the surgery. I went to see my doctor. I went to see specialists. I began to read on it. I began to study on it. I began to have conversations with people who went through the surgery. I just started doing a whole research, and because I finally got to the point of making a decision to getting healthy. And I say this with respect, right, to everyone who has surgery, and I believe it's a process that can work for a lot of people. But then I've also had conversations with some folks that it didn't work for. And so I try to, think about those two things. But actually, you make a long story short, I got into the process, went to the doctors, went to orientations, had the interviews, saw nutritionists, and it got to the point where, I went to a webinar and they told me that I had to submit information and that they would verify with my insurance. And I said, okay, this is good. They said the most important part is the insurance verification. So I was excited. I was pumped. I was like, this is it. This is going to be the transformation of my life. And I was decided. I had made a choice that I'm going to turn my life around. I'm not going to continue down this path. I'm not going to continue down this road, only to feel a big letdown. So remember, I'm dealing with my health. I'm dealing with my mind. I'm dealing with my emotions. Now I make a choice for change. And, as I'm journeying down here and on this path to going through the surgery, I get a call from the hospital saying that they went through the verification process. And unfortunately, my insurance doesn't cover the surgery. Wow. I just felt a big letdown. I even called the insurance and tried to convince them to let this happen. And no, unfortunately, you're gonna have to try something else. We'll refer you to a nutritionist and try some, they spoke about different things. But my mind, see, the thing is this, my mind was made up. I had made a firm decision because I knew that it was going to require a decision, and I was at that place where, I would look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't like the guy I was looking at, and the problem was that the guy in the mirror looked just like me, because the guy in the mirror was me, and to deal with the fact that, the only one who got me into this health battle was myself, and the only one that could really get me out was myself. It was my choices. It was my poor decisions. It was my poor choices. And everything that I was eating and at the wrong times and at the wrong places, and the wrong portions, and everything was just wrong. Everything wasn't wrong. It was just wrong. And I saw the results in my health and in my body. But then when I got to that place of finally realizing, okay, I got to make a decision. I got to make a firm decision. And I was decided. But then feeling the letdown, that crushed me. It really crushed me because I was already decided. And then we went to the the ministers' retreat, La Cumbre, the ministers' summit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen your story already a few times on Facebook, but wasn't really following. You know, I saw it. You know, I was like, wow, he's doing great, but never really established a following. And when I went to the La Cumbre, I was checking in at the hotel. I see Pastor Ish coming down the stairs. And I just saw Pastor Ish at the convention in July preaching.
Yeah.
So I knew where he was at. And the next time I saw him was at the hotel in October at the Minister Summit. And I saw a whole different person.
Wow.
And then I said, brother, man, what are you doing? You know, so I stopped him. I said, what are you doing, Pastor? And he told me briefly on the surface, he told me what he was doing. And he says, listen, who you need to talk to is to Pastor Moncayo. I said, is he going to be here? He says, absolutely. I said, well, if you see him before I do, let him know I need to talk to him. And all of this was because I had already made a decision that I needed to change.
Yeah.
I needed to get myself, if I wanted to, you know, get to the right place, I needed to put myself in the right path, and it was going to require my own decisions, my own personal choices. You know, it wasn't going to be with, you know, the pom-poms of anybody else, even though, you know, all of the encouragement is important. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with you. You got to face you, and you got to face your decisions and choices.
Awesome. Awesome. And what does it mean to get healthy for you as a pastor?
You know, I'm going to tell you something that, you know, as a pastor, the burden of ministry is a lot to begin with, you know, and sometimes we take it for granted. There's two things that I look at, and maybe three, you know, without extending myself. Number one, I as not so much as a pastor, but as a pastor and family man, because I have both roles. And with everything that my wife has gone through, I realized that I needed to be there for her. And I'm first a shepherd at home. I'm first a pastor at home. And so I took that into consideration, but I made it very personal, you know, to the point where, you know, I just can't be concerned about taking care of the church. I need to be concerned about taking care of the most important church, which is my home, my marriage, my children, my grandchildren, my family. And I realized that I was putting myself at risk of possibly not being there for them for the long run, and really not having the health to take care of my wife and her health challenges as she battled cancer and just recently went through an amputation. And so, you know, all of these things were hitting home. And looking at my grandkids, you know, how they reached out to me and how much they love me and rely on me. And they don't call me granddad, they call me papi, you know? And so things began to really hit home, and I began to realize and think, man, these kids, you know, they're looking forward to a future with me. They're looking forward. They're not looking at me as a pastor. They're looking at me as dad, as granddad, as their anchor, as their refuge, their shield, the strong man in the family. And I was missing all of this. I was missing all of that. And my kids would also have conversations with me. They would tell me things here and there. And also my wife, you know, she would, you know, share her concerns with me. And so I knew that, you know, as a husband, as a dad, as a granddad, and even as that shepherd, that leader of the family, that leader at home, I needed to make this choice. But then, as a shepherd of the church, you know, sometimes we as pastors, we forget that God isn't calling us to be popular preachers. He's calling us to model a way of living, to be a testimony, you know what I mean? To demonstrate a life that's evident to all. And somebody once said, people don't care how much how great you lead until you demonstrate how much you care. And the thing is this: how could you care for those you love if you can't care for yourself? Because the Bible says you can only love others as you love yourself. And so, I'm dealing with all of these things coming at me now, and I know that God was behind all of that, and God was trying to find a way to create consciousness in my life of the path that I was on, that when it comes to to health, health has to be holistic. You know what I mean? It has to be holistic, and it just can't be that man on the altar. It has to be that man outside of the altar. It has to be that individual. And before having a healthy pastor at the church, there needed to be a healthy husband at home, a healthy dad, a healthy granddad, a healthy shepherd at home. And so God was definitely at work in my life. And again, I want to emphasize, as an encouragement to anybody watching, I realized that the decision that needed to be made to get myself on the path to health could only be made by me. Could only be made by me, not anybody else. You could receive advice from a lot of people. You could have conversations with a lot of people. But until we make the choices that we need to make, you're never going to achieve the things that you need to achieve.
Yeah. Well, they say that we make decisions, but then our decisions make us, right?
Yeah.
So that I love what you said. The aspect of that you were dealing with your mind, your health, your emotions, and then that there was an event that shifted your way of thinking or your plans, basically. And you had to confront yourself. I love that you had to look at yourself in the mirror, look at the man in the mirror. You saw yourself, and you said to yourself, I had to make that decision. I had to make that choice. So I wanted you to share a little bit of the mindset, right? How has your mindset changed through the program, through your journey? Because you said something to me in the conversations that we've had. You told me, listen, I have this athlete mentality, and he was like dormant for a while, and now it's awakened, right? Now you have that, the goal inside, and you just want to go get it, So how has that happened? Like how did that shift for you?
Yeah, listen, man, I'm a sports guy, man. And if anybody's hearing me and you're a Yankees fan, you're on the right team, man.
Yes.
You're on the right team. I've been into sports from a very young age. I've been athletic for a very young age. A competitor from a very young age. I played in different leagues and played in school, and even we used to, before the pastorship, I was leading a Christian basketball league for about 15 years. I played in that league for about 4 years before I became the director of the league, after the founder had stepped down and moved on. And so even at convention, back when we was in the youth, I see that I don't think they do it anymore, but back in Summerfest, when we used to go to Summerfest, one of the highlights, besides the services, right? The services were the main thing. But during the recreational hours, the highlight was the basketball tournament. And so I played with Connecticut, and we would, it was just a ball. It was just a ball. All the years of growing up at Assemblies of God and going to Camp Mahanaim and having the competition. And I was a competitor. I was a competitor. And, when you're a competitor and you have that competitive mindset, you're invincible. You're invincible, and you're not gonna take a loss. You're not. But then when I've suffered some injuries due to sports, and I've gotten away from sports, I kind of got away from that competitive mindset. When I started facing the challenges with my health, one of the things that I use to encourage me and regain the competitive mindset is, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to win. I'm going to overcome. This is just, it's and I looked at it like that, a competition. I'm going to challenge myself, Now I'm not playing against another team. Now I'm not competing with somebody else. Now I'm competing with my own health. My challenge, my competitor was my own health, and I saw that what better way to win and overcome and succeed by competing at being better than what you were or where you're at, and getting yourself to a better place, and declaring victory in that area. And health became that arena. My health became that arena, and I said, I'm stepping up to the plate. I'm grabbing the ball, basketball. I'm grabbing the baseball, the glove, the bat. I'm grabbing the football. I'm going to score this touchdown. And so when I began this journey, I established 5 to 10 pound increments of victory. So every step that I've been able to achieve has been a victory lap, has been a victory, a home run, a touchdown, a trophy moment. And so I'm constantly celebrating.
Awesome. I love that, man. I love the fact that you said, winners don't take the L. They don't take the loss.
Yeah, no, and even now, people question how much weight I've lost. Based on my weight today, and where I started, I'm around 52 pounds, about 52 pounds that I've lost. And people focus on what I've lost. I'm not focused on what I'm lost. I'm focused on where I need to get, how much I need to go. So they're always saying, wow, how much weight did you lose? And I always tell them, well, I'm right around 52 pounds, but I still got 45 to go. So I keep challenging my mentality. I keep challenging myself, because if we become complacent with what we've achieved, we'll miss the goal and stay stagnant and stuck where we're at.
Yeah.
So I'm not done yet. I'm still going.
No, listen, I see the mindset. I know you're going to take it all the way to the end. I'm not even worried about that. I think you're going to do this. And I love that. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. I like that expression. And just for everybody, just so that you know, the whole phrase, let's do this, I stole that from Marc. So.
That's right. Let's do this. Let's do this.
That's awesome. And just one more thing, and then I'll let you go, because I know you have all the things. But I know that as part of our culture, we kind of settled in this idea that we're unhealthy, and that's just how it is, right? We make choices. We even push certain things to stay in that area of not taking care of our bodies. What would you say to those that are skeptical about changing their health? What advice could you give them? Could you talk to them?
I mean, look, I think that when you run into people like yourself, when you run into people like Ish, and others that I've conversated with, and others that are on the journey, and the online platforms that we have on Facebook, and you start following these stories, the truth is this: nothing is impossible. One of the things that we can't do that could be very detrimental to not getting healthy and not getting better is lying to ourselves. The worst thing that we can do is lie to ourselves and make excuses for not making the right decisions. And a lot of times, and by this, God forbid, I'm not trying to discourage those who are skeptics, but a lot of times skepticisms and doubts really are established on the basis of the thoughts that we create for ourselves, and so we're really responding to the manner of disciplined thinking, whether good or bad, that we've established for ourselves. So, we don't make the right choices, not because we don't believe in it, but because we're not willing to do it. And the thing is this: you got to live with yourself at the end of the day. The stuff that I was going through, the stuff that I was facing, and I've shared some with you, Moncayo. You know, the sleep apnea, borderline diabetic, the acid reflux, a bad case of acid reflux, where I would wake up at night choking in my own vomit.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, you think about it. I could have died in my own sleep.
Yeah.
Right next to my wife, she could have awoken one morning to a dead husband, you know, and realized that he died because he choked on his own vomit. I was at a very bad place health-wise. I mean, I couldn't eat. I couldn't, you know, everything I ate was just having a bad reaction in my body because it was just so unhealthy. It was just so unhealthy. And I wasn't really thinking about what I was eating. I was just putting whatever I can. If I had the hunger, and sometimes, you know what, and I'm gonna be real with myself, right, and real with anybody. Sometimes it wasn't even hunger. It wasn't even hunger. It was just that urge, the habit of always trying to put something into your body. And you know, just a thought, you know, you think about that Big Mac, and all of a sudden you're pulling in through the drive-through, you know, you know, you're putting the fries in your mouth, and you're not even biting it, you're just swallowing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at a bad place. I was doing horrible things when it came to food and the habits that I had, and I would even admit it, I think it was a bad addiction. And I was just, you know, I realized that, you know, I needed to change my mindset, and I needed to have conversations with myself. So the skeptics, you need to start talking to yourself. You need to start looking in the mirror and start having conversations with yourself. You know what I mean? It reminds me of the psalmist, you know, the psalmist in Psalm 103. If you read it, you know, he starts to speak to his own soul. He starts to speak to himself. The psalmist is speaking to himself, and he's talking about appreciating God for what he did, never losing your gratefulness, never losing your love for the Lord. And you know, he begins by saying, bless the Lord, all my soul, you know, and do not forget, and do not forget, and do not forget. There comes a time in our lives where, in order to get to, you know, to the place we need to get, and overcome the skepticisms or the doubts or even the struggle with making the right choices, talk to yourself. You know what I mean? And realize that, you know, this is, you know, it's not only for the benefit of others. I spoke for the benefit of my wife and my kids and the grandchildren and the church, but you got to get better for you. You know, you got to get better for you. And one of the scriptures that really has been a highlight in this journey, and will be a platform at some point when I begin to, you know, share this story in other arenas, is Third John. It only has one chapter, Third John chapter 1 verse 2, where it says, beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health.
Wow.
And be in health just as your soul prospers. But I you know, I realized that as a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, you know, there was a disconnect between my spiritual health and my physical health, you know, and you know, it didn't matter what I felt on the inside spiritually. What I was demonstrating on the outside was not just, you know, tied to anything, and I needed to align those things, you know.
Wow, that was great, man. Doubts that we believe for ourselves. I love that line. We lie to ourselves, and doubts that we believe for ourselves. It kind of takes me to what Paul said to the Roman church, right? Do not be conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewal of our minds, right? Because that way we get to discern what the will of God is, that good, perfect, and acceptable.
Yeah.
I think this is part of it. You know, I think the church, we as a church need to take care of ourselves better. And I appreciate your honesty, appreciate your transparency, your even vulnerability. You know, you opened up and shared with us the struggles that you've had, and also the fight that you're currently having, which is I pray that it is for encouragement to many. I think your testimony is powerful. I mean, you said I got 45 left, but dude, 52 with the mindset change, and it's amazing. I mean, I look at you and I'm in awe. Like it's awesome.
Yeah. One guy hugged me on Sunday. He said, Pastor, God bless you. He hugged me. He says, oh my God, I could get my arms around you and touch my hands. And so I even celebrated that. That wasn't an insult for me.
No.
That was a victory lap.
It is.
Amen. And it was encouraging to me, And so even my perspective has changed. I look at everything positive. I look at, and so, the most important decision is the very first one. Is starting. Convincing yourself that you need to start getting started. But along the journey, there's a whole lot of other decisions that you have to make. Life is built on choices. Built on choices. And the success of this journey that we're on to healthy living, even though that first step is the most important decision, you're gonna, people will notice that it's a journey, and it's one that you're walking in day to day, and it involves many decisions, many decisions, and so, test yourself, challenge yourself, compete with yourself, and you can do it. You can do it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for the advice. And listen, anybody that's watching, you can't expect pastors to talk and not use the Bible. So hey, listen, that we're gonna start preaching at you.
I'm sorry, man.
No, I love it. I did it too. So hey, so receive it.
Yeah. But I will say this, that I'm sleeping better. I sleep like a baby.
Awesome.
I'm breathing better. My level of concentration and focus is better. The sluggishness that I was going throughout the day is completely gone. The episodes with the acid reflux and the vomiting, completely gone. All of that is completely gone. The energy that I have throughout the day, just to do, help my wife and help my kids. So, it's just it's ridiculous. And it's just amazing. It's transforming. It's completely transforming. I had 2 knee replacements. My knees feel phenomenal. I used to go through a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort going up and down the stairs at my house, or standing too long or walking too much. All of that is gone with just 52 pounds, and I have 45 more to go. And so, look, I'm ready to go back to my childhood days and invite you guys back to Mahanaim for some basketball.
Let's do it.
And relive a lot of these years that we've lost, but we feel great. We feel energetic. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
And so Carlos Medina was posting something on the live. I'm sure he's ready. I know
Carlos, come on. That's my man. Carlos. You can do it, bro. You let me know. Let me know, man. I'm here to cheer you on, bro. Carlos is a great guy, great ministry, great family. And, we as pastors, sometimes, at least I'll speak for myself. It took me some time, but it's never too late. Like I said earlier, it's never too late. I realized that, health is a key component to what we need to achieve as ministers.
Amen.
And as leaders in the body of Christ.
Amen.
No,
Carlos is doing it, man. Carlos is also doing it. Yeah.
Carlos.
I'm not giving details until he tells me it's okay, because one day I'll do a little live also with him. But I'm talking about basketball. I'm sure he's ready to do something like a pastors tournament or something. That would be fun to do.
Look, we got to go shopping together. I haven't shopped yet. Okay, but my wife did buy me 2 extra large shirts, and I thought she had made a big mistake, because I was using 2X, between 2X and 3X.
Wow.
And I was already getting into using more 3X. That's how big I was.
Wow.
But 2X was my, kind of regular size, 3X. So 2X and 3X. And she bought me 2 extra large shirts, and I was like, big mistake, I don't know that I'm ready to wear this yet. And when I put them on, they fit me perfect.
Wow.
And so when I came back home, I started, putting on some. As a matter of fact, last Sunday I put on the extra large shirt, which fit me perfectly. And then I went and grabbed one of my sports jackets to use it with open collar. And the sports jacket was a 2X, extremely large on me.
Wow.
And so I tried to fit one on, and none of them fit me. And so I said, I'm gonna go to church without a sports jacket on. I'm gonna go. And when the minute I walked through the doors, people were like, look at you, bastard.
That's
I gotta go shopping. I got a lot of clothes. I don't want to lose all of them. I'm thinking about getting a tailor and fixing them.
Hey, listen, let me know, because I need to go shopping too. So if you find good deals in Connecticut, I'll take the ride. I don't mind.
I tell you, I told my wife said, why don't you just, I said, Mom, clothes are expensive, man. I don't know what's going on, but clothes are expensive.
Yeah.
I don't mind getting mine tailored and make them smaller.
That's awesome.
Throwing a few t-shirts in the dryer for a while.
Yeah, why not?
They would shrink. But I have fun with this. Pastor, I'm having fun with this. I'm happy. I'm happy with myself. I see a different man. What I see in me is different, and it's important to be happy with yourself. It's important to love yourself and have joy for yourself. And so it's different. I'm not talking about being egotistical. I'm not talking about pride or selfishness. You got to love yourself. You got to have joy for yourself. And you got to learn to celebrate yourself, especially when you start reaching milestones like this, where you're getting healthy. This is important.
Yeah, it is.
It's important.
It's very important. I definitely think health is not vanity, it's health. And
That's
health
true.
is very important.
Yeah.
But Marc, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this time. I know this is going to be, I know you're already impacting a lot of people, but I know that also that having this type of conversations, or candid conversations, will impact many others to maybe even open up and be encouraged. And if they're in the, on the edge of trying to make a decision about their health, whatever it is, because it doesn't have to be the program that I'm doing and the program that you're doing. It could be, it's just taking that initiative, taking that first step to doing something, and the good thing is that now they know, like, if they need help or guidance, we're here for them, but thank you so much for your time. And
Amen.
thank you so much.
Thank you for your coaching, being inspiring, and being a blessing in the lives of so many, including myself.
Appreciate it, man.
So I believe that for such a time, God has placed you there, and you're a testimony yourself. And what better evidence than that? Somebody said you can't preach what you don't live. And so I'm hoping that, I can be of inspiration to others when it comes to healthy.
For sure. And I didn't mention the testimony you shared with me about the whole heart thing, because I know you're saving it for a separate time.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even ask about that.
Yeah.
But I just gotta say to everybody that you have to hear his testimony. He'll share it later, but it's just because he almost had me in tears when he shared it with me. So it's deeper than what we've spoken about today. I think you say you're an inspiration to me, like, honestly, like what you share with me, and even you motivating me, because it's a journey. It's a journey, and we're doing it together. So I really am grateful for your partnership, your friendship, through this journey too. So I'll close the Facebook Live, and just wanted to thank everybody that's watching. Say hi to everybody that was watching, and also those that will watch it later on. But we're here for you, whatever you need. And if you're in the middle of a decision about your health, or goals that you want to reach, let's talk about it. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you walk through those journeys, and whatever we can do to serve, we will. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you for watching, and we love you. God bless you. May God keep you. Receive a hug from us, and
Yes.
and we'll see you. God bless, guys.
God bless.
And let me stop over here, and I'll stop the stream. There we go.